This is Kerrace Alexander with DeepTruth Media. It is a trauma of birth that keeps us locked in this perpetual cycle of the system of consciousness, which imprisons your essence as awareness in this biological, physical vehicle. And yet, what I have come to understand and comprehend and to have experienced and transcended myself is the infantile needs to return to the womb of the mother that is the original womb of the system of consciousness in order to experience self as awareness. And in so doing that, I experience a physical transcendence in the knowing of the truth of who I am as awareness, still bearing witness and still experiencing self in physical form. However, in the transcendence of physicality and experience self as awareness, I am able to develop my psychic abilities. That is the rebirth that we all so long for, that is being obscured from us, that the transcendence into awareness, the knowing and truth of who we are as awareness, allows us to acquire our innate capabilities psychically, and that is the rebirth. And when we develop our abilities to psychically create through this physical vehicle as awareness, it allows us to create the reality of our own choosing in our own making. However, because we've been conned into this system of consciousness, we are being used as awareness, that is, our awareness is being used by the powers that were to create their system of consciousness, which manifests itself in the physical earth plane, which manifests itself in materialism, which manifests itself in their ability to con you into using your fuel, your resource, your energy, your libido, your sexual energy, to create the world in which they have designed for you. Why? Because they have you in this perpetual cycle of repeating the fetal drama and the trauma of birth and your urge to merge with the mother through their system of consciousness. So in order for you to become a creator being, because in all honesty, that is all we do here, all we are to do here, is to create. That's the function of this physical world, is to create. And in order for you to create the world in which you want, I am, in my attempt to deconstruct consciousness, attempting to support you in creating a reality of your own choosing and your own making. Because as awareness, remember, awareness is malleable, it's vulnerable, it's susceptible to being manipulated, childlike. Awareness is ever-flowing, effervescent. Awareness is sovereign. Awareness is free. Awareness is just simply resting in a constant state of paradise. That is the awareness that is you. Just simply rests in a constant state of paradise. There's no thing there. There's nothing to do. And so as you rest in your constant state of paradise, and you're just resting there, you are simply manipulated and seduced into this system of consciousness. And so you are here, having this experience. And yet it is an experience that is being spoon-fed to you. It's a reality that's being spoon-fed to you. And when you come to know the truth of this, when you come to realize the predicament that you find yourself in, one questions and one wonders what one is to do in this situation. One must come to know self as awareness in order to transcend this system of consciousness. One must come to know self as awareness and come to the recognition and realization that pain and suffering are constructs of this physical world system that have simply been perpetuated on you by the designers, the architects of this system. And they do that in order to control your essence as awareness, because they must create an environment where awareness forgets itself, and awareness forgets itself in an environment which operates on fear and negativity, destruction. That's what suppresses awareness. But one of the things we realize is that this system of consciousness is a finite system, and yet you as awareness are infinite and all, immortal, always present, all-knowing and wise. So as this system dissolves, awareness still exists. And so when I said yesterday in my sharing on the ISIS jihadists, at the very end I said, let me know if you know others who are speaking from the perspective of awareness in the deconstruction of consciousness. And I explained to you one person, David Icke, who is part of the power control force system, who is on the same trajectory that I am, but he's under the influence of this system. I thought about that for a while, and I wondered, why did I put that in there in that last sharing? So as I was pondering that yesterday or today, I came to the realization that when you know self as awareness, there is no need to engage this system of consciousness, in that there comes a point when you no longer need to engage this system as consciousness, and there is no need to speak out. You just create. You just focus on the creative part. You develop your psychic abilities and you just manifest, because that's what we do here. It's that simple. And so I understand and comprehend that within my own process that all of you have been sharing in my experience, and hopefully it's been supporting you in transcending your own construct of consciousness that you are immersed in, so that you can come to understand and know your own truth, shifting your own perception and being able to create at will. Because those that are listening here certainly have the desire to do so. There's certainly an interest and a will to do so, but that will must be so strong. That belief must be so strong, stronger than this system of consciousness. You see, as awareness, as you come to know self as awareness, your desire to have a different experience has to be greater than the experience that is being spoon-fed to you. You have to be willing to do that inner work, that inner excavation work, in order to dismantle this system off of you, off of your physicality, that is. The imposition of this system on the physical being that is you, so that you can experience more of self as awareness. You have to have a strong ego, a strong will and knowing, and the tenacity to do whatever it takes in order to get there, no matter what anyone else thinks about you or your journey. Because most people will not do that inner work. Why? Because this system of consciousness is so ingrained on the physicality of who and what they are, and that they are so caught up in their belief systems and the programming that has been imposed on them, the physicality of who they are, that it suppresses the awareness to the point where they are like zombies walking in this physical world, lifeless zombies, allowing themselves to be used and abused by this system for its own purpose and means and creation. They've given their power over to the system, their ability to create to the system. They've acquiesced their right as awareness to create. This system of consciousness has its own creative drive, and it does not consider you as a driver. It considers you as a passenger. So the question becomes, are you going to continue to be a passenger in this system of consciousness, or are you going to become a conscious creator, the driver within this system of consciousness? Are you going to take back your power? Are you going to reclaim your power to create at will? That's the opportunity for you. But it requires you to do some work. And the work is that regressional work. It's what I call core theme work. It's the trauma of birth work, so that you can identify your trauma of birth and your infantile needs to return to the mother's womb. Delete those infantile needs in the trauma of birth that you keep compulsively repeating over and over again anyway, so you can break free from this system of consciousness and become a conscious co-creator of the world in which you want, instead of the world that's being spoon-fed to you. So there is, for those that are listening here, a creative drive in the creation of your own individual experience. Not merely physically, but also psychically, in the sense of experiencing a rebirthing of who and what you are, which is the actual creative act of every human being. Every human being has the desire, whether they know self as awareness or not, to be a creator. That's what we do here. For in this act of creating psychically, we are able to create a world in which we want and not a world in which being spoon-fed to us. We then become the creator and the creature simultaneously. And then we move from this idea of being a creature to a conscious creator in the ideal sense, the creator of the personality self, the creator of this existence. Because as it stands now, we are a product or a byproduct of our external reflective, our social systems, the institutions. We are a byproduct currently of our external system. And so we just need to come to the awareness that we are a byproduct of an external imposed system, and that we no longer want to be a part of this imposed system, and that we want to reclaim our power and create a personality and a being that is more authentic and in alignment with the truth of who we are. The creative person has a very strong ego, much stronger ego than the average person. They have the will and the strength of the ego consciousness to transcend this system of consciousness. So you must have the creative power and will to transcend this system of consciousness. And how do you do that? You come to know self as awareness. How do you do that? You do that inner excavation work, and you delete all those programs that you're operating on and all your belief systems that tell you that you are worthless. You are of no value, because that's what this system has imposed upon you, that you don't mean much, that you're really not worth anything except for what you put out to the system, and then you get some money back. So I want to direct you to, at this moment, to a link that I'm going to put in to the description. And it's a link to an interview. I was a guest on an interview on Michael Deschenet's radio show on Critical Mass Radio, and his show is called Gaia Dreaming. And it was an hour we spent just talking about money and self-value and self-worth and value. And we were just having an exchange. But in that exchange, we were what? Deconstructing consciousness. Deconstructing money and this system of consciousness and how it's used against us. So very interesting sharing. I encourage you to listen to it. It's about an hour of your time. Certainly worthwhile. But again, in order to transcend this system of consciousness, you must surrender. It's a very act of surrendering and trusting. Your power lies in your ability to surrender. So I was just engaging this experiment on my deck, about half an hour ago. Just resting as awareness and pushing the envelope in my ability to surrender as awareness. And in that very act, I became this magnet. And I had all these flies and butterfly. I had all kinds of little insects coming at me all at once. I never had that before. It's quite interesting. So as I was just sitting there, I was like, okay, so I'm surrendering now as awareness. There's an amplification in my vibration, and the insects are feeling that, and they are attracted. I said, no, I don't want these insects to be attracted to me. I said, and then so I visualize what it is that I'm manifesting. I want to manifest, and I saw myself as a magnet, and I was just engaging the experiment and what was coming up for me as awareness. And I was saying, well, why am I doing this right now? Why am I engaging my ability to manifest at a different level? Why am I engaging my psychic abilities at this particular time? I always do that. I'm always reflective and checking in, because this is the work. This is what it is, deconstructing consciousness. This is what's manifesting. Yes, the trauma birth piece that I've been sharing with you is gonna come to a close in the next 2 or 3 sharings, and then we're moving on to the next piece. But the overriding piece of what I'm getting here for this whole concept of deconstructing consciousness is engaging our psychic abilities to create, becoming a psychic co-creator of the world in which we want, using our abilities to create and manifest at will through what? Visualization, increasing our frequency, being that magnet, surrendering, trusting, playing with awareness and its ability to deconstruct consciousness, but also to its ability to create at will. That's where our power is. And I can totally understand that, because if I am awareness and I'm simply resting in my constant state of paradise, and I know that I am to live in opulence, and what do we do here is we create. We create in this physical world system. So if I know these things, and I am specifically to live in opulence, that is my right, and I know that is my divine right to do so, then that is what I must create. And so that's where it gets to be fun. This is where it gets, the game changes. It's a game changer. Like I said, I didn't know where this was going, but now looking back in retrospect, now I can understand why I would be here. There's nothing else to do here but to become a creator as awareness. It makes sense. And I have been talking about it in a different context, but in the context of awareness and the deconstructing of consciousness, I can totally understand. And so it's really key to remember that if you continue on the path that you are on in this system of consciousness and not do anything or have no inclination to change your life, then you will continue on a path of pain and suffering. And that if you continue on a path of pain and suffering, it causes you to repress the urge to know self as awareness, which will cause you to become neurotic, making you completely incapable or willing to even act in a co-creative way. And so this really rings true to those who decide not to choose the path of awareness, but choose to acquiesce to the system of consciousness. What will happen, and this is not a threat, I'm not trying to place fear on you, it's just a reality that I can see, most people will go mentally insane if they already haven't, and act out on the physical world stage. So those are just some options for you. We all have free will in some respects, but the will that you will need is the will and desire to do that inner excavation work. Come to know self as awareness. Pain and suffering are not concepts of awareness. And so if there's any way that I can support you or assist you, let me know. I do regressional work, or theme work, that is. My work is to support those who have the desire to transcend this physical world as I have and come to know self as awareness and create a reality of their own choosing and their own making. I thank you so much for tuning in. It truly is a glorious time to be alive.